What is an expert? And should you consider yourself to be an expert? Well, in this video, we're going to look at the 3 types of experts that exist. And we're also going to look at how you can position yourself as an expert to your audience. An expert is someone that is knowledgeable or skillful in a particular area. But that's pretty vague, and it's also very subjective, which means that if you lack self-confidence, then you might not consider yourself to be an expert when in fact other people do. So to understand what an expert is a little bit more, we're going to look at 3 different archetypes of how you might consider yourself to be an expert. The first archetype is the academic expert. The academic expert has theoretical expertise learned from formal studies. So for example, to become an academic expert in business, you might do an MBA. To become a doctor, you might study medicine. And for other expertise, you might take an online program, you might attend seminars or read textbooks. I've heard it said before that if you read the top 3 books in any subject, then you will already know more than 95% of the population. Just think about that for a second. If you want to know more than 95% of the population, all you have to do is spend a little bit of time reading books. But obviously, the more effort you put into your formal learning, whether it be reading or studying, then the greater level of expertise that you're going to have in an academic sense, and therefore the greater number of people you're going to be able to help. So that's the academic expert. And the second archetype that we're going to look at is the experiential expert. Now, the experiential expert has been there and done it. They have had the experience and therefore they have expertise. For example, if you've worked as a chef, then you have experiential expertise in how to cook delicious meals. If you've worked in real estate, then you have that level of expertise in the real estate industry. If you've owned a German Shepherd puppy, then you have experiential expertise in how to raise a puppy, which somebody might just be looking for. You might not know the theory, but you've done it. Often we think of experts as people that have 20 years experience and global recognition, but the reality is sometimes we want to get advice and expert opinion from someone that's 1 or 2 steps ahead of us. Someone that's just done what we're about to do and therefore has really relevant and recent advice to give us. Just look at the viewing figures for YouTube tutorials on things like how to do your makeup. This is not people typically demonstrating their academic expertise. This is people showing you how they do something. This is their experiential expertise, and we clearly value that opinion. The third archetype is the investigative expert. The investigative expert gets knowledge and information from other experts and then draws down on what they're seeing and hearing from those other experts into their own conclusions and own advice. The great news here is that our brain does this on autopilot anyway. So, for example, if you're a football fan but you've never played professional football and you never studied sports science, but you've been watching football and listening to other experts and watching other experts, then you have a kind of a investigative expertise in that thing that you've been observing. Now, this is more of a passive level of investigative expertise. However, if you were to find 100 professional footballers and you were to interview them about their mindset or about their nutrition habits, then you would be able to draw down from all of that data and come up with some really valuable knowledge and advice and expertise from having done that investigation. So as long as you're learning from other credible experts and you're drawing down from their advice and their opinion into your own rules or suggestions for how people should do things, then you're creating your own brand of expertise off the back of theirs. And so whilst on a first glance this might appear to be a lesser form of expertise than the other 2, actually, if there's one expert that's been there and done it for themselves, that's great. But if you've been out there and you've interviewed 100 people that have been there and done it, and you've found out what the common patterns for success or for high performance are, I would actually say that this form of expertise could be more valuable and more reliable for people to trust. Now, you can develop this form of investigative expertise through listening to interviews of other experts or reading their autobiographies, for example. But really the best way is to go out and interview them yourself and ask them the questions that you're really interested to find out. Now, you can do this through Facebook Live conversations. Everyone's doing Zoom chats these days. Or you can start your own podcast. And on that note, I've actually started my own podcast where I interview other successful entrepreneurs to find out how they got started and how they created their businesses. Now, this is called Be the Boss, and it's about success stories of other experts in their field. This is as much for me to learn about their success, to build my expertise, as it is for me to share their experience with my audience who are, budding entrepreneurs and business owners. And if you think that that kind of expertise would be useful for you right now, then I strongly advise you to check out my podcast, and I'll stick a link in the description below. So that's the 3 archetypes for expertise. There's the academic expert, the experiential expert, and the investigative expert. And I'm convinced that you're already an expert in something in at least one of these 3 ways. And so that's how you can position yourself as an expert to your audience. And that's enough for you to get started. Of course, building out your expertise in all 3 of these areas is going to really cement your own position as an expert, and it's going to help you grow and develop in your specialty area. So now is the time where you have to shake off that imposter syndrome and start sharing your expertise with the world. Get out there and add value to the people that you want to serve rather than hiding your expertise in the shadows. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to check out my podcast, and I will see you in the next one.